All right. Oh, we're only accepting credit cards now, so there's no cash.
A Manhattan restaurant stops accepting cash.
Most of our business was already being done in credit card processing, almost 90% of it. And it seemed burdensome to have two systems.
Meanwhile, a card swipe now pays for things that only cash could buy, a fast food meal or a midtown taxi.
You know, the fact that I don't have to worry about carrying cash with me just to pay the cab off, it's really neat.
Plastic money is becoming our national tender, and as debit use eclipses credit cards, one card company, above all others, is profiting from it.
Visa debit is easier than cash and checks. More people go with Visa.
Although long associated with credit cards, Visa has found new domination in debit, which has seen significantly more use through the economic downturn. The Visa logo is now on nearly 2/3 of all credit and debit cards in the United States. The growing volume of transactions has meant big profits for Visa, and there are concerns that the company has perhaps grown too large. Over the past decade, Visa has been the target of numerous lawsuits alleging anti-competitive practices or price fixing. One lawsuit resulted in a multi-billion-dollar settlement. But so far, litigation has done little to weaken Visa's market control or earnings.
Sadly, they probably make a ton of money off of fees, some of them from me.
Each swipe of a Visa card, be it credit, debit, or a government-issued prepaid card for unemployment, triggers a fee to merchants. It's called an interchange fee, and it accounts for 1 to 3% of the purchase amount on a Visa card. Interchange fees go to the member banks, who then pay Visa a toll for using their network. These nickel and dime fees are a huge source of revenue for banks and credit card companies and increase the cost of almost everything we buy.
Why the fees are so high is because they're greedy and they can.
Mitch Goldstone runs a digital photo scan business in Irvine, California. For him, interchange fees are a major expense.
On average, interchange fees are the second or third largest expense after payroll, after rent. It's that high. And when you look at most businesses, especially in this economy, where they're fighting for 1 or 2 points to earn, it's going to the banks.
You and me and everybody we know are using our credit cards and debit cards more often. So the amount of fees that the merchants pay in total is going up considerably and steadily.
In the U.S. alone, banks and card issuers made about $45 billion from interchange last year. Meanwhile, Visa, who along with MasterCard sets interchange rates, made about $2.5 billion in profit from transaction fees.
This is what interchange fees were designed for. It used to be cost-based.
Mr. Goldstone is part of a massive class action lawsuit pitting merchants against Visa, MasterCard, and their member banks for collusion and price fixing.
Merchants want to be able to negotiate with Visa, MasterCard. We want to be able to offer discounts for cash, and we want to be able to not accept certain cards. When someone uses a card that's going to cost us 5% versus a card that's going to cost 1%, we don't want to do that. The actual cost to process a transaction is about 13% of what they charge.
Has the pendulum swung too far in favor of the banks, as some of the merchants claim?
The banks always controlled the card payment system because they set up the card payment system. Now, when you and I walk in and pay with a debit card, that is our money, not the bank's money. Okay? We could have written a check. We could have come in with our own cash. But now we're making a debit card transaction for which the merchant has to pay a fee. Now that's what rankles the merchants.
Consumers who have debit cards and say, I want it swiped as a credit card, still instantly taken out of their account, but now I'm paying much, much more than before for it.
In the 1990s, a group of retailers led by Walmart sued Visa and MasterCard, alleging that the credit card company's rules requiring merchants to accept debit cards resulted in higher interchange fees. Visa settled for $2 billion. Now, in the wake of major credit card reform in Washington, legislators are giving greater scrutiny to Visa and its merchant fees. A congressional report in November found that overall Visa's interchange rates have gone up, along with new credit card reward offers. The National Retailers Federation estimates that merchant fees now cost the average American family $427 a year in higher retail prices. When we asked to speak with Visa executives in San Francisco, they declined to go on camera, but stated that interchange is critical for the value chain in the Visa payment system to work. We think by merchants' actions it has worked and been valuable to them. In recent years, online startups like PayPal and Revolution Money have tried to gain a foothold in the electronic payment industry by slashing interchange fees, in the case of Revolution, from 2% to 0.5%.
You know, Revolution Money and Bill Me Later are not going to become global competitors to Visa and MasterCard. Look how difficult it has been. American Express has been in the market for 50 years, and it still has a merchant network that's left less than half the size of Visa and MasterCard.
两岸三地一卡通用。
As Visa continues to expand its global network, lawmakers in Australia and elsewhere have intervened to cap interchange rates. Meanwhile, the U.S. retains one of the highest interchange rates of any industrialized country.
Do you think if interchange was regulated, if we had an Australia system, consumers would benefit?
Consumers absolutely would. The argument that Visa and MasterCard said is that merchants just keep the money. And what Visa and MasterCard don't understand, very simple law of economics and of business, is competition.
The ubiquity of the Visa brand has left most merchants with no alternative but to accept it. And as more people pay with cards, at least one Manhattan business has found a processing cost it can cut, handling cash.
So why isn't it sweeping New York City?
Because of the fees. It's clear. Because restaurants don't want to pay, merchants don't want to pay the increased fees. It seems like a high percentage for a merchant to pay when that much volume, in my case 100%, is being done on cards.